Hey guys, it's Shadowarty here, and I'm back with another 6th Gen Wi-Fi battle. Today we have another match on my stream. This is going to be a match against Luke. Remember guys, if you guys want to battle me, you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. I do stream pretty often. And looking at possible threats on his team, I'm definitely afraid of that Latias, just because if it's Choice Scarf or Choice Specs, then it can deal massive damage to my team. However, most Latiases are defensive anyway, so it probably just has defog and stuff like that. But then again, he also has a Blastoise with Rapid Spin, so that is another potential threat. Or it could just be a Mega Blastoise in general. So why don't we get started with this match? So I'm going to lead off with my Torterra, predicting my opponent to lead off with the Heatran to set up rocks. And I know it can take at least one Lava Plume from a Heatran because I am Assault Vested, so it was a pretty good lead for me. Luckily that does work out for me, as he does lead off with a Heatran. I noticed that he has the Air Balloon, so I cannot hit him with a potential Earthquake, so I'm going to actually switch, go into Manaphy, because I know he's probably just going to go for the rocks anyway. And I pretty much have a free switch into my Manaphy. This Manaphy is actually a Salic Berry Tail Growth set with 3 attacking moves, so that's pretty interesting. He's going to decide to switch out because he obviously does not want to take a potential Scald, as I just go for the Scald anyway. Maybe just hoping for the burn in my case, because I just want to get, if I get off a burn on this Blastoise, I'll be happy because this Blastoise is very defensive and any residual damage will be a benefit for me. So I'm going to decide to switch now because I really can't do much to this Blastoise at all. I figured I would just go into the Amoonguss. And as long as he doesn't have Ice Beam, I should wall this Blastoise pretty well. He goes for Toxic, that works out pretty well for me because I am part Poison. Now, since he went for Toxic, I don't think he carries the Ice Beam because most people that carry Toxic on a Blastoise, that means it's probably a defensive Blastoise. So most defensive Blastoise do not carry the Ice Beam. They usually carry Scald, Toxic, usually like Protect, and Rapid Spin. So he brings in the Heatran now as I just go straight for the Spore. I wanted to put something to sleep. I knew he was probably going to switch out anyway, but I catch the Heatran on the switch, which I'm not really going to complain at all. And at this point, I just want to break this thing's Air Balloon, because if I can do that, then my Torterra becomes a pretty big threat to this Heatran. So I decided to just go for the Giga Drain. I know it's not going to do anything at all. He does quad resist it, but I do break his Air Balloon, so not really going to complain there at all. Luckily for me, though, I am going to pull a switch now because I obviously do not want to take a Lava Plume, even though I probably can live one. So I decided to go back into my Manaphy. No reason not to. I know I can take a Lava Plume pretty well. Manaphy has some pretty good defenses. He actually stays in, and he goes for the Will-O-Wisp, so he ends up waking up, a bit unfortunate. Manaphy gets burned. Again, I don't really care about being burnt too much, and I can fire off a Skull on this thing. So he actually stays in, which is a pretty big surprise. Maybe he was guessing that I would switch out maybe and overpredict, but no, I just decided to just go straight for the Scald. As he just goes for the Fire Blast, I knew it wouldn't really do much. It does a pretty fair amount, actually. And after burn, I'm down to about half, so I do deal pretty good damage to this Heatran, as he's going to pull a switch again, go back into Blastoise, I'm assuming, because that is definitely his best play. As I actually just decide to go for the Scald once again. It really is my best play, because if I can burn this Blastoise, like I said earlier, that would be huge, because a burnt Blastoise would mean he takes residual damage every turn, and as long as he doesn't have rest, this Blastoise has no means of recovery other than leftovers. So I'm going to be looking really good if I can burn this thing. Unfortunately, I don't get the burn, and I'm going to be forced to switch again. Bring in my Amoonguss once again. At this point, we're just swapping Mons back and forth. I'm switching between my Manaphy and my Amoonguss, as he's just swapping back and forth between his Blastoise and his Heatran. So he goes for Toxic again. Kind of not sure why, because I did already pull the switch earlier, but maybe he thought on a slight off chance that I would switch into something else. And my Manaphy was burnt, so he was definitely predicting a switch there. Not really sure why he didn't predict a switch to Amoonguss, though. So he brings in the Sylveon, and I just go straight for the Spore. I have really no reason not to, as the Heatran did wake up earlier, so I'm not going to be breaking Sleep Claws. So that's going to be good for me. I'm not sure why I decided to switch out here. I'm guessing I didn't want to take a Psyshock or something along those lines, because I actually should have just stayed in and just went for the Sludge Bomb. But then again, Sylveon has really good special defense, so he probably could have taken it pretty well anyway. So I decided to go into my Fortress now. Pretty much this is an opportunity for me to set up Stealth Rocks, and I can potentially scare out the Sylveon with a Gyro Ball. So he's going to decide to switch out because he obviously does not want to take a Gyro Ball. He goes into the Kung Fu Panda, the Pangoro, And at this turn, I just decide to just go for the rocks. It's my best play, residual damage. He's getting pretty much so many free switch-ins. Stealth Rocks is going to put a little bit more pressure. However, he does still have the Blastoise to watch out for, so that's a bit unfortunate. I just decided to go for the Protect here, just to scout what move this Pangoro wants to go for. If he's banded or choiced, and he goes for Ice Beam, that could be good information to know. But he ends up going for the Ice Beam, and that's fine by me, because I can take an Ice Beam pretty well. But then he shows me he has the knockoff, so that means that confirms that he's not choiced, as I'm able to get off a Rapid Spin and spin away the hazard. So good for me, because I'm looking really good here. As he brings in the Blastoise once again, this thing is pretty annoying because I obviously cannot do much to this Blastoise. I figured I'd just go for the Gyro Ball, just in a slight off chance that the Pangoro wanted to stay in. He doesn't, and that kind of sucks because now the Blastoise is pretty much free to Rapid Spin and get rid of my hazards. So, kind of sucks, but you know, what are you going to do there? I decided to pull a switch once again, go back into my Amoonguss because I wall this Blastoise pretty well. He cannot do anything to this Blastoise at all. As this turn, he's actually going to decide to go for the Rapid Spin. Smart play on his part, getting rid of my hazards. And we both got rid of hazards, so, you know, that's pretty okay, I guess. I still have my Fortress, so I can potentially set up rocks later if I really need to. But we'll see how the match goes, because I may not even need it in the future. But we'll see, we'll see. So he's going to decide to pull a switch now, go into his Kung Fu Panda, the Pangoro once again. As I actually just decided to go straight for the... Actually, no, I decided to switch out, predict this, and go back into my Manaphy. Actually, no, I went into Manaphy, predicting the switch into Heatran, so that actually does not work out because I take burn damage, but my Salac Berry does activate. It doesn't really matter too much in this match because I didn't set up a Tail Glow, plus I am burned, so it doesn't really matter at this point. I decided to just go for the Scald, hoping to get the burn. Unfortunately, I do not get the burn, and he's able to knock me out with a knockoff. Kind of unfortunate there. If I gotten the burn, knockoff might not have killed, but then again, it is still a Pangoro, so it should still deal a ton of damage. I decided to go into my defensive Crobat now and just go straight for the Brave Bird and annihilate this Kung Fu Panda. And since he's fighting, he's going to die easily. So the Pangoro is out of the way. He doesn't have that switch in anymore. And I'm really happy because that Pangoro dead, that's going to open up a little bit more of an opportunity for me to set up on this thing. So he brings in the Sylveon now. And I really can't do much to Sylveon now that he's asleep. So I decided to just spam Brave Bird just to see how much damage it does. Sylveon doesn't have the best physical defense in the world, so it shouldn't take it too well. And as you can see, wow, I'm not even invested in any attacking EVs, and that is easily a 2-hit KO. Kind of a bad play on my part because he ends up waking up and he goes for Psyshock and he kills me. So that wasn't the best play on my part. He kind of was baiting that, but I was kind of gambling on the fact that he wouldn't wake up this turn, so kind of unfortunate that he does. So I figured I'd just go into my Amoonguss now, but that was actually a bad play. I really should not have done that because it just did show me the Psyshock. So I decided to go into my Fortress, as I know the Psyshock is pretty obvious. So, yeah, so I'm not going to take this Psyshock too well. I mean, it does a pretty good amount, but since Psyshock hits on the physically defensive side, that's not really going to do any damage at all. Now he decides to bring in the Ambipom, which I thought was a little bit strange. I figured he'd try to go into the Blastoise because he does resist the Gyro Ball, and Gyro Ball is my only attacking move. And that Gyro Ball is actually a 2-hit KO. Now this turn I decided to just go for the Protect, knowing that the Fake Out is pretty obvious. And that works out well for me because he doesn't get to fake me out. So he's going to decide to pull a switch once again, kind of a strange play, and go back into his Blastoise, which was what he should have done in the first place. But now I just decided to go for another Gyro Ball because I knew that Ambipom, it was a 2-hit KO against it, but he brings in the Blastoise. So again, I can't really do much to this Blastoise. My Fortress is just a physically defensive wall, so its only attacking move is Gyro Ball. I don't even have Volt Switch on this thing, so it's kind of unfortunate. Even if I had Volt Switch, it wouldn't have done much anyway. At this point, I could just go back into Amoonguss, knowing that he can't really do much to me at all. And this Amoonguss is just like a huge wall to his team because other than his Heatran, he really has nothing to take care of it. He had the Sylveon, but I believe the Sylveon died, if I'm not mistaken. Or wait, no, I think the Sylveon is still alive. But I decided to just go for the Spore again, just to see if he would switch out. But to my surprise, he actually stayed in. I'm not sure why, because I do carry Giga Drain. At this point, I figured I would just go for the Giga Drain because it's super effective and it should deal a ton of damage. Now he's going to decide to switch, and he's going to bring in the Sylveon once again. So the Sylveon wasn't dead, so that was good information to know. As I'm just going to go for the Giga Drain. Actually, no, I don't go for Giga Drain. I decided to pull a switch once again, go back into... Actually, no, I decided to bring in Torterra now, my Assault Vest Torterra. and I can take any hit he wants to go for. He shows me the hidden power. I was kind of scared if this was hidden power ice, but based on that damage, that definitely isn't hidden power ice. I'm guessing it's hidden power ground, maybe, but then I wouldn't resist it if it... Actually, no, I'm on part grass, so yeah, it might have been hidden power ground. And I'm able to just go for a seed bomb and knock him out. So he brings in the Heatran now. Now this is the moment of truth. I can go for the Earthquake and take him out because I am Assault Vested, and if this is a defensive Heatran, then I can definitely take a Fire Blast. You're going to see that does a pretty fair amount of damage considering that that is super effective, and I'm able to kill this thing with an Earthquake, so I'm really happy with that. This Torterra came in clutch, it really did. So the Heatran's going to die, really awesome for me, because I'm looking really good here. His next mon is the Latias. Unfortunately, Latias does resist my stabs, so I'm going to, unfortunately, just let my Torterra bite the dust. But he ends up going for Draco Meteor, he misses, and then I end up missing the Stone Edge, so... Torterra did work in this match, so I'm just going to let him die to a Side Shock so I can have a free switch into any Pokemon I want to bring in. I decided to bring in my Hoopa. I am Choice Scarf, so I know that I can outspeed. I do carry Shadow Ball. It's probably not going to kill if this is a defensive Latias. It's actually a 2-hit KO, so that's pretty nice. He ends up going for Draco Meteor, a bit unfortunate. I think I could take that because Hoopa has pretty decent defenses. And you're going to see that that is barely a 2-hit KO. And after the special attack drop, he's not going to be able to kill me in 2 hits. So I'm able to just go for another Shadow Ball and knock him out. If he wants to switch, that's fine by me, but I am going to be able to deal damage to whatever he wants to bring in. He decides to bring in this thing, the Blastoise once again, and since he is asleep, I'm going to be able to hit this thing with a Shadow Ball. It does a fair amount of damage. I was kind of hoping that it would do a little bit more, but this Blastoise is just a huge wall to my team, just like my Amoonguss is a huge wall to his team. And with that Heatran dead, I'm looking really good here. So yeah, my Torterra was able to take down the Heatran. I can just bring in my Amoonguss once again and stall out this Blastoise. He ends up waking up, which is a bit unfortunate. He does go for the Scald. Even if he gets the burn, again, I don't really care. I'm a special attacker. I don't care about being burned. And he doesn't get the burn anyway. So this Blastoise wakes up now, and I should be able to just go for another Giga Drain, or I can just go for the Spore just in case he wants to switch out. He actually is going to switch out, and he's going to bring in the Latias now. And after, I believe I have Stealth Rocks up. Do I? No, I don't. So I actually decided to predict the switch from his... I decided to predict the switch into Latias and just go straight for the Sludge Bomb. So that actually ended up working out really well for me, because he thought he would have a free switch into his Latias, and it's dead. So that's going to be really awesome for me. And he still has, I believe, the Ambipom and the Blastoise. So I'm looking really good here. I decided to pull a switch once again, go back into my Fortress once again, because I know I can take a Fake Out very well, because I do resist the hit, and then I can retaliate with a Gyro Ball. And I know that he really, as long as he doesn't have Fire Punch, he really can't kill me. He shows me the Low Kick, which is fine by me. I actually decided to just go for the Stealth Rocks, just because I know he still has the Blastoise left. I know it doesn't really matter at this point, but I knew I could take at least one hit from this Ambipom. So I figured I would just set up Rocks anyway, and then just go for a Gyro Ball and kill this Ambipom. So the Ambipom's dead, and I believe his last mon is the Blastoise, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he goes into the Blastoise now, and I figured at this point I just want him to kill me so I can have a free switch into my Amoonguss. I really don't need my Fortress anymore at this point, but I actually decided to pull a switch anyway and go back into Amoonguss, because I know I could take any hit, because he showed me that he doesn't have Ice Beam. So I'm looking really good here at this point. He actually shows me he has the Roar, which I thought that was pretty interesting. He actually roars me back into the Fortress, and at this point, I figured I would just die, because at this point, my Fortress really can't touch this Blastoise. So I figured he'd just go for the Scald, kill my Fortress, and then I can just bring in my Amoonguss safely and just Giga Drain this thing to death. So I'm looking really good here. I really don't care. And this Blastoise is still a pretty big wall, though. It was a pretty good counter to my team. I had multiple chances to go for Giga Drain, and I didn't. I actually decided to bring in my Hoopa now and just go for the trick, just so I can pretty much guarantee the win in my favor. If he goes for Scald, that means I'm going to lock him into Scald. So now that he has my Choice Scarf, he's going to be able to be locked into Scald, and I should take that pretty well, because this is a defensive Blastoise, obviously. And I can just go for the Hyperspace Hole, my main stab move, and it should deal a ton of damage. He actually goes for another Scald, and he does outspeed me, so that's a bit unfortunate. I do live, which is nice, and I'm able to go for the Hyperspace Hole, deal damage to this Blastoise, and with him locked into Scald, next turn after he kills me, I can just bring in a Amoonguss and kill this thing with a Giga Drain. So that pretty much is going to end up being the game. So that is going to be, I believe, a 1-0 victory in my favor. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. today's match. If you did, leave me a like, a favorite, and a subscription. And I will catch you guys in the next one. So this is Shadowardy signing out. Peace, guys.